This is Fraud to Fearless.
Friends, you are made for more purpose, more confidence, more impact. Because when you live fearless, you inspire others to do the same.
Let's go! Welcome back to the show, everybody. We have a really good episode today. I'm actually pumped because this feels like a reunion to me right now. We have an amazing friend and entrepreneur now with us today, Sean Costello. Hayden, tell us a little bit how we know Sean.
How don't we know Sean? I mean, so we go way back. Does it feel real? It's been almost a decade. Like when I think about how long it's been, we all went to school together, and just the amount of time that we've spent together, laughs, tears, cries, joy. And I think the cool thing is our careers have all looked very differently. And we're going to talk a little bit about Sean's background, and he's doing some exciting stuff, y'all. He's got a business that he's just started that we're going to double click on and literally pop the hood. It's a journey when you are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. And Sean is very much in the heat of that journey with some really exciting stuff.
And let me just say this one thing before, Sean, you say hello and kind of tell us about yourself. This episode's going to be interesting because he's not only an entrepreneur, but he's also working a full-time job. He's doing both. But this isn't just like a side hustle. This is a legit business. Okay, so without further ado, Sean, tell us about yourself. Tell our audience who you are. Give us a little bit of your background and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Excited to be here. I'll do like really high level of me professionally, and then we can dive more into like personal life, which kind of led me down the path that I'm currently on. Professionally, well, we know each other from grad school. So we got master's degrees in HR. And that was kind of my path. I wanted to go down the HR route. I have a close family friend who, I don't know where he sits in the HR world right now, but he's one of the world's leading HR experts, Dave Ulrich. His son teaches at USU, and long time family friend. And I just saw him and I was like, this guy's super rich and I want to be really rich. I grew up really poor, and I was like, you go into HR, you're going to be really rich. So I went and I got a master's degree in HR, got out of grad school, and it wasn't really a traditional HR job. It was more like HR analyst. The HR department that I was working for, it was in healthcare. They purchased Salesforce. So it's an internal software that people use to manage sales, marketing, customer service. That's like the out of the box standard functionality for Salesforce. And the HR department purchased it to manage a small subset of people, around 4,500 individuals. And as you can imagine, HR is not known for their technical development skill set.
Yeah.
And especially in old school healthcare. And so being fresh out of grad school, I just volunteered to take on the project. And I started to learn more about Salesforce. And I was more or less the product owner, the middle person in between our internal stakeholders and our technical development team. It was outside consultants that we hired. And I started to really enjoy working with the technical people, really quirky, funny. We would laugh a lot. And it was a different experience than what I had with healthcare HR. And I wasn't even really in traditional HR. I had actually been applying for jobs for over 4 years to go into a more HR centered path. But because I was really educated, but I didn't have typical HR experience, it just wasn't working. So I decided to pivot and I started applying more for Salesforce related roles. And then I just almost immediately, I had job offers rolling in. And I ended up switching and I increased my salary by 110% in one move, going from HR to Salesforce.
110%.
Yeah, it was a dress. I don't know if that means I made a lot of money or I wasn't making any money at all in healthcare HR, but it was a significant life-changing jump. It was the amount that I
Wow.
never thought that I would make from a normal W-2 job.
Wow.
Hmm.
Um, and I was still able to work remote. So the company was based out of California. I got to stay in Utah working remote, which was really amazing. And that sort of led me down the HR path. Now, well, let's pause. Is there anything else? That's what I currently do right now. So I'm a senior Salesforce admin. I now work for a company based out of Utah here, hybrid. So 3 days in office, 2 days in week at home. But with two children, I almost prefer would just rather be 5 days a week in office. It would make things a lot easier.
Hey, we get that. So this is mind blowing to me because it's like, I love your story of, hey, we just want to get really rich, to put it bluntly, right? But it sounds like you had this opportunity that all of a sudden you're making a bunch of money. So what's the transition like? It sounds like you're living a life at this point when you switched over and you're like making enough to feel comfortable. This is content. Like, I'm good. What? Tell us how you got from there to like, let's start a business now.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up further because it's a really internal desire from me. Even though I was making a ton of money and my wife was also working and she was making a really good salary too. I mean, we were more flushed with cash than we had ever been in our lives.
Hmm.
But it wasn't fulfilling. I don't even still, I got to be careful how I say this. Like, I don't enjoy just like sitting in front of a computer typing on a keyboard all day long.
Yeah.
It is really draining and soul sucking to me. I don't find a lot of personal fulfillment. But if I go back, it was actually the summer right before grad school. Well, a little bit more historical context. So I grew up relatively poor, like pretty darn poor. My father was a general contractor. He was really bad at business. People always asked for discounts, deals, freebies. And a lot of the times it was at the detriment of his own family. I'm the youngest of 5 children, and life was really expensive. I grew up in the Bay Area in California, and we were just barely scraping by my whole life. And money was always the crucible of the problem
Hmm.
at every turn, whether it was familial conflict or lack of connection or whatever. It always traced back to money in my eyes. And I learned from a young age that, and this is something I'm working on, this is not a right attitude to have, but I imagine a lot of people have experienced this before, that my personal worth is determined by the size of my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And I never felt like worth very much. And it
Hmm.
caused a lot of issues within my head and my life where money was the way and the path to happiness, which it does help. But it's not the core thing at all. And I'm learning to try to rewire that piece. But right before grad school, I moved in with a really good friend of mine who thinks so different than anybody else that I had ever met in my life. He's like the type of person that could just sit back and like think about the stars and universe and like what makes the world. I don't know. It's a wild. And he taught me a lot. And one of the things that it's actually quite profound and it has changed the trajectory of my life and how I think and perceive about life. He taught me about God. Okay. So I grew up relatively religious, and religion, God, spirituality has played an important part in my life. But he, in a way, flipped the switch. In I always grew up thinking like the love of money, having lots of money is the root of all evil. Let's be humble. Let's just kind of like do our things, make our little contributions, etc. And my buddy was like, "No, that is wrong. You are a child of God, and God is the wealthiest being in all creation." And I don't mean wealthy in terms of finances, but in all the senses, the most abundant. And he wants you to be like him. And when I would think
Wow.
about that, and we would dive really deep into those sort of conversations, what does that mean for me? God doesn't want us to play small. God wants us to play big. So what does that mean personally with my family, how I live my life, finances, career, helping people, making the world a better place. Think abundance in every aspect of my life. And that I lived with him for 2 or 3 months. And even now, today, it's been almost 10 years. I think about it almost daily.
Hold up. Today you get a surprise. In high school, my little brother was captain of the soccer team. And before every game, he led a chant. This is how it goes. Day by day, we get better and better. Until we can't be beat, won't be beat. Here's my challenge for you. I challenge you to do one thing today that stretches you. Reach out to someone you admire. Go get a coffee. Have the honest conversation that you've been avoiding. Volunteer to lead the next project, or even sign up for a class that intimidates you. Heck, you could even go do a polar plunge. I can't be the only one that enjoys it. At Fraud to Fearless, fearless isn't about having no fear. It's about facing it. So start today, then share this episode with someone who needs the push. Together, we won't be beat. Back to the show.
Wow.
Sean, I want to go back and talk about something that was very brief in your story, but I think it's a super powerful lesson. What's interesting is if we go back to when our parents were raising us, they were like, oh, pick a good job. Go study something that it's going to be easy for you to like be successful, right? That's how probably most of us grew up hearing that message. And then when we go to school, we're essentially kind of trained on how a career path is going to look and like what are the things that we need. And if you get this degree, then you can do this and this, but you can't do this and this. And so it's like, I am going to go get an HR degree and then I can only do HR stuff. I can't do anything else. And that's just not true. And so I loved your story of, hey, I was actually not even really doing HR work. I was really doing technology. And once I found like, hey, I can be a Salesforce administrator, like that's where you found the value and you essentially doubled your pay.
It was a volunteer thing. And it's just because I wasn't happy with where I was at. And so I was always looking for opportunities. How can I change it up? How can I bring more challenge, excitement in my day-to-day job?
You're
And that was
proactive.
just
You're
it was an
proactive instead of
opportunity.
sitting there and saying like, "Oh, well, this sucks. Like, I guess I'm just stuck." You're like, "I don't like this. I'm going to find opportunities with my own free will to make a change." And it paid off,
Yeah. And
literally.
that's apart probably from that one summer living with that friend of mine who taught me about God. He would also really dive into and this, I think this is pretty common nowadays to hear this, but back then I did not know. I was just young and ignorant, but he would frequently tell me that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to come in there and give you this chariot to ride off into the sunset. You have to make decisions and you have full autonomy to change your life. Now, that frankly is a double edged sword. I call it radical accountability on my part. And it can be, there is definitely a negative side because I view everything from a lens of it's my fault, it's my problem, I didn't do enough. But there is a good side of that, of where can I make the difference? How can I influence and make the change that I want to see?
So I want to dig into that because I think how many of us have not have had that thought of, can someone please just come save me? I just wanna take a nap, man, and like, this sucks. Can somebody please just come and save me? I feel like we've all had these moments, whether in work, life, or relationships, right? But it sounds like how do you make that shift? Because you're talking about this profound experience, this, like, life mentor. This is the hero's journey right here, so I'm loving every bit of this. You have this person, this friend that comes into your life, shares this with you. Um, what changed once you had this radical accountability? Do you think that that piece is what kind of started the rest, or was it, tell us a little bit more?
Um, One of the things that I inherited from my father was the ability to dream. there's two types of dreaming. I think there's one that's a healthy dreaming, that you take dreams and you make them into reality. And there's a time where you dream to escape life. It's this negative side of dreaming, where you have an idea and you think about it enough, you ruminate on it enough and enough, and it gives you little dopamine hits, almost as if you're actually doing it, but you're not doing the thing. And my father did that nonstop. He always would dream and make promises or have ideas, and he never did any of it. And I was really caught heavily, and I still have an issue where I will dream in a sense, to escape reality, but I'm learning to change. But in terms of the accountability piece, so I've always had this gift of being able to dream. And as soon as my buddy almost gave me permission, it's okay to dream and dream big and wild, my mind just like, I mean, it went beyond. And I then learned, like, I want to own my own business. I want to be able to help support other people, serve the community, serve the people around me, and make a lot of money at the same time. um, and
What was an early dream, Sean? Do you have an example of, because like right now, the dream we're going to talk about shortly is you taking the dream of starting a business. But what was an example of like an early dream?
yeah, an initial one, I've had 1,000 different business ideas. And to my sweet wife's, Grace, she has listened to all of them. But
Wonderful.
an initial one, as I was just starting to dream about what would this look like professionally, because I was going to go get a master's degree, I just thought about academics. Like, well, why don't I go get a PhD and become a professor, and I can be like this Dave Ulrich type of a guy?
Right.
Why don't I just do that? That was the next step. Dave, he does teach, but he mainly consults, and he has this big company. And so why don't I start thinking about doing that? When I got into tech, there were more tech related ideas. When I was in healthcare, maybe more healthcare related. Just like look for problems and then create a business around the problem. And then when I drive or go on walks, I just think about it. I'm in the shower. I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea. I could do that. That would be fun.
It's
Do you have the
always, why
notes
is it in
page?
those?
Do
Go
you have
ahead.
the
Sorry.
Silicon Valley running notes page of like you have a business idea and then you add like a bulleted list? Do you have one of those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Actually, okay, now that you said that, I do remember that I wrote one down. It was when my wife was pregnant. What was the idea exactly? It had something to do with like morning sickness and like a protein bar specific for pregnant women that could help satiate. Because I think my sister told her to help combat morning sickness, have a little sleeve of crackers in your nightstand. And even throughout the night, if you need to, like pop in a couple of crackers. And I'm like, crackers don't even have any nutrition and they're just crap. Like, make something better for pregnant women. So they were just like silly ideas like that, but I have 1,000 of them.
So when did the idea, we haven't even said what the name of your business is yet. This is the build up. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get to the good part. Okay. Tell us this idea and then tell us what it was, how it started, and go from there.
Yeah. I own a business called Scrubbin Pup. It's a 24/7 subscription based self service dog wash. That's a mouthful, but basically it's like a high end facility for people to go wash their dogs. That makes it way easier and at a fraction of the price than having a full service groomer doing it. Washing your dog at home is really messy, dirty, stinky, inconvenient, difficult. Full service groomers are quite expensive. And so I just got the middle ground. It's way better than other self service places where you have to bring everything, they don't clean them. We provide 100% of everything. It's like an all inclusive spa for your dog. Just bring your dog and we'll take care of everything else.
I went and visited the location. I was blown away, Hayden, at this place.
Yeah.
Like legitimately incredible. I'm gonna put up videos. So check out, you'll have to see. I filmed videos of this place. I was like, are you kidding me? At not only just the aesthetics, but like all of the stuff. He had everything that you can imagine that you need for a dog. is there? Like nail stuff. Like there's just like bins of all this stuff completely organized, so fancy. I was like, can they make one of these for humans?
Tell us the first moment Scrubbin Pup came to you.
Yeah, it came from my brother. So I grew up with dogs my whole life. I counted it out once. I think I had somewhere between like 10 to 14 dogs throughout my 18 years living at home. I've had a lot of dogs. There were some cats in there, a few hamsters, one frog. But dogs were always like the centerpiece of that. But I don't have a dog now. And the ironic piece is I'm actually quite allergic to dogs. I'm allergic to animals. And it's not just like the dander allergy. I also have the saliva allergy. So if a dog licks me, I also break out in hives.
You're kidding.
And my whole family is allergic to dogs too. And like my wife and my children. And my 3-year-old loves dogs. And there was a time, because we feel a little bit fraudulent owning a dog grooming business without having a dog ourselves. So there was a time that we were looking at getting a specific type of dog. It's called a Portuguese water dog. They're supposedly as hypoallergenic, if not more so, than a standard poodle. And so a friend of ours owned one, brought it over, and my son Finn was just wrestling around with this dog for like 20 minutes. The dog was licking him all over the face, and his face just blew up like a balloon.
Oh no.
And I was like, okay, I guess we can't even get a hypoallergenic dog yet. Eventually, we're going to get a dog. But we need to have our kids old enough to not let the dog lick them.
Hayden, it looks like you're looking up a Portuguese whatever dog. So
it's a
you
good looking dog.
Share it on the screen. Share it on the screen.
It's a good looking dog. I mean, it looks very poodle-esque. I feel like I used to study like dogs and American Kennel Club stuff, and I mean, I've never heard of a Portuguese water dog. So I mean, it looks very poodle, almost like a poodle Bernese mountain dog type, and I didn't know there was hypoallergenic dogs, so that's super interesting.
Yeah, there's no poodle in this dog. The story behind it really fascinating. Obviously from Portugal, it's a working dog, so it's a little bit broader in the chest, and it loves water. It used to go out and work on fishing boats with people off of the coast of Portugal. So that was the original purpose behind these dogs. So they're a bit more robust. Poodles are a little too dainty for me, where these dogs, they're just like a little bit more like a dog, you know, a real dog. Yeah. So yeah, we're all allergic. The idea came, we don't have a dog. The idea came from my oldest brother, who has an American Akita. This is a ginormous dog. It's like a husky on steroids. It's a really big dog. His dog is about 120 pounds.
They're good looking too. I wanted one of these dogs when I was little.
Yeah, don't get one, but they're beautiful dogs and really, really sweet. So he had this big dog. He travels all over by himself with this dog, and he was traveling around, and he needed to wash the dog after hiking. And he just looked up a self-service dog wash place, and he happened to find one. And he came back and he talked to me about it, and he was like, hey man, we should do this. And my brother's not the entrepreneurial type. He would have an idea, but he needed somebody to help him with it. And he told me about the idea, and I was like, well, I'll look into it. And I started doing research on my own, and there really wasn't anything like that out here at the time. But I sat on the idea because I was at this really high-paying job. And when I talked to my wife about it, she's like, oh, well, just wait until XYZ. Let's just wait. I think you can do it. And I will give my wife credit. She's really good at governing me in the sense of my ideas, because I'll come like, oh, I got to do this. And she's like, well, let's think about it some more. And she'll ask me questions, and I'll be like, yeah, I can't really do that. Where this idea, it was the first idea that it was something that I could conceptually understand. I could explain it to somebody within 20 seconds and they could understand it, and I could financially pay for it. My wife was on board, and I had the skill set to put the business together. So it was just a little criteria that I could go through as I was screening different business ideas. Most of the time, all of the businesses that I had They were too complex. I didn't have the skill set. I couldn't pay for it, and I didn't know anybody who could help me. And so that filtered out all of the other ideas, where this one, it was simple. It's a dog wash. And so that's where the idea came from. I didn't go into business with my brother. It was just me and Brittany. But we started the business. He has come and used it, and he loves it. And it's been a really great experience.
Sean, you've talked about all this stuff. You just gave us an amazing framework for how you think about ideas, your story, your background. I'm waiting for the moment where you're like, I was freaking scared to do this. It sounds like you were so confident, like you just knew and you're just going to do it. Did you have any fear at all in starting this? Like, this is a big
Yes,
deal.
for sure. Yeah, let's peel the story back a little bit more. There is an important component of the story that, as you've told me a little bit about your audience and listeners, that I don't think that I'm alone in this. But we'll get to it in a second. So at this time, let's see, my brother told me about the idea for the first time, maybe in April. This high paying job, and we had one child at a time. We had a nanny that was coming during the morning time to help us. We were taking turns in the afternoon in between work and taking care of our son. My wife was pregnant with our second child. So I think it was like April, May of, what year is it? 24, 23. So April, May of 2023 is when my brother told me about this idea. And I just sat on it. Like, I was just going to wait until I don't know what. I honestly don't remember. We were waiting for something. I don't know if it was something financially or whatnot. But when I fast forward almost a year later, I actually lost that job that I had. And so it was about 3 months away. I lost the job. I think it was June 17th of 24, I think. My wife was supposed to give birth in August. And her plan was to quit and be a full-time stay-at-home mom. She was really looking forward to that. And so I didn't have a job. I took over full-time childcare, which ended up working out. I wasn't loving the job that I had. The nanny wasn't really working out. And so I took over childcare. I needed a break and a relief from all the stress, and I loved it. It was before he was 2, so he was still like so sweet and tender all the time. You're laughing because you know what I'm talking about.
Terrible twos.
Yeah. And so I just enjoyed my time with my son. Then my wife gave birth in August to our second son, and she had 4 months of maternity leave. So we just spent it together as a family. We had plenty of savings to be able to get us by without too much fear. She was still getting money from her job. And all the while I was still applying for jobs, but in my heart, I did not want another job. I wanted to start my own business. And bless my wife's heart, because she's like, okay, actually, before I get there, I joined, I don't even remember when. It was probably in 2023 as well. I joined a men's coaching group, a local men's coaching group here. And the idea behind this group is to help you be a better man, father, son, husband, etc. And there is a lot of really wealthy individuals in this group. It's primarily made of entrepreneurs, real estate professionals, business owners, some executives, but there's a lot of like very successful people. So it was a big sacrifice, but I wanted to tap into this network, and I wanted to do work on myself to help myself be better. And any kind of journey or goal, the end destination that we've talked about isn't really what we're going for. The point of it is who we have to become in order to get there. Right. And so being a part of this men's coaching group was a way for me to become. I knew what I wanted to be, but all the middle ground I didn't know. And so I needed to expand my network to be around people who knew about the becoming, and they could challenge me and help me change my thoughts. And that has been a big game changer for me, that whole aspect of it. Now, I had been in that group for about a year. I've always thought about, I want to do my own business, start my own thing, kind of run my own life, be in control of my time. I lost my job. We're now in November. And this was, I mean, honestly, life, I think for everybody, but so difficult with children and life and death. There's a lot of challenges that go on. And so I think I was looking for some level of fulfillment as well. And I wasn't getting it from a 9 to 5. So I didn't want to go back there. I was in a mini mastermind with this men's coaching group, and I kind of shyly brought up this idea, like, here's my idea. I think it's a good idea. I haven't really done anything about it, but I don't have a job. My wife's working. And everybody immediately was like, that is an incredible idea. You need to do this. Don't worry about if you fail or not. Don't think about the failure. Just do it. There's nothing like that here. Here's examples of when I would use it and what I've looked for it, and it doesn't exist. Just do it. Now, they could have just been blowing smoke. I don't know. But it was enough for me that I came home that night and I told my wife, honey, I got to do this. There's not going to be a better time. I'm just going to try to do this. So she said, okay. And she's like, I'll give you 1 year. In 1 year, I want to quit my job and take care of my children. And I said, okay, cool.
The deadline.
The deadline, which is so important. It's so important to
It's
have
so
a
important.
deadline.
Oh,
So I just started like working on it immediately. And for me, I have a problem with major analysis paralysis. And this is where the fear, Hayden, comes in.
Yeah.
Most of the time, my ideas, I was so afraid that I just couldn't get past 2 or 3 questions of what if I fail? I don't have enough knowledge. And this is going to sound silly, maybe not, but AI, ChatGPT, was for me integral in being able to start this idea, because I could spew all of my fears to ChatGPT, and the way that the OpenAI people programmed it is just to help you feel good and use facts and data, maybe fake data that I could find online, to help soothe my fears. And so I'd be like, what about this? What about this? Have you thought about this? And it'd be like, yeah, that's a good thought. But then look at this over here. There's this data. This would be a good idea. Let's have this financial structure or this or that. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Let's pause right here, Sean, on give us an example of one of these fears. Because like you've got a running list of 1,000 ideas. It seemed like life-wise now was a good time to actually pull the trigger and start something. You've got the men's mastermind coaching group. They're all saying full send, Sean, go get it. But now you have to actually execute. Give us an example of like some of these fears of the early days, what was keeping you up at night.
Well, very initially, like the first one is financially. Can I actually financially afford this? And I don't know about any other kind of funding. And that's where the AI came in, is tell me about how do I go about finding funding? Or when you submit for an SBA loan, a small business loan, you have to do a bunch of analysis on your business in order to convince the bank to give you money. I didn't know anything about how to do a full-blown analysis, market analysis on this, and a national analysis and my financial projections. And so my first thought already was, I cannot do this. I don't know how to get past this. I don't know how to do a financial projection. I don't know how much money I'm going to make. I don't even know how much to charge people. I don't even know if people are going to come in. And so it was just writing all of these out. ChatGPT knows how to create a great business plan and do financial projections that the bank isn't going to dig into. So I don't know if they're right or wrong, but it looked good on paper. And it was enough where I could put together this huge packet, my full business plan with all the financial projections, that it was convincing enough to me. That was the first major one. Can I put together a succinct business plan that makes sense to me logically, from the financial to the marketing to the customer service, the whole thing? And so just taking the time to go through it and have AI as a sounding board, but as like a project manager, as a personal assistant, as a business partner, holding my hand through the whole thing was what changed. I didn't use AI in any other circumstance. historically with any other business idea. I never got to that point. I don't know if I didn't know about it. But it was the first time where I felt like, yeah, I needed handholding through all of that initial stuff. And for better or worse, AI provided that. It filled that spot for me from a business perspective.
It's true. Like, in order to actually start something, you first have to believe in yourself. Like, you have to believe it deeply that this can actually happen. And I think that's where so many dreams live and die, is it's a combination of not only believing that, but like you said, dispelling these fears, having enough courage to keep going. So you did the work to say, okay, I think this makes sense. I'm still afraid. Like, we're playing in the big leagues now. We're not just starting this little digital course. Like, we have to buy brick and mortar. We have to buy huge fancy dog washing machines. Like, this is big. You can't just like purchase one of those and return it on Amazon Prime. Like, this is like huge.
Yeah, that was really scary. The initial down payment, and I ordered those. So you talked about the dog wash machine. So a little bit about the space is we have 2 wash bays, and then on the other side of the house we have grooming tables with all of the grooming things that someone could want to take care of their dog. On the wash bay side, these are like staple pieces that when you walk in, they catch people's eyes. You haven't really seen something like that before. And I found a company based out of the Netherlands that manufactured these, and they were different than what I could find here in the United States. So I wired $17,000, my first initial wire for these machines, to some random people in the Netherlands
Oh my gosh.
that I didn't know. I've never even seen one of these machines in person. And I went to the bank and I was like, hey, I think I kind of want to do this. And they're like, okay, give me the details. And they plugged it in, and they had me personally triple check 3 times. Do I want
I
to
was
do
going to
this?
say, how many times did you check that, account number for
Yeah.
$17,000?
Yeah. And they told me multiple times, you cannot get this back because it was a direct wire. You can't get it back. Do you trust these people? And I
Your
was like,
heart.
I think
Your
so.
heart.
Yeah. So it was really terrifying plus scary, scarifying.
Scarifying.
Yeah. And I did end up getting them a lot later than I thought. I was supposed to get them in like 6 weeks, and I got them in like 15. So that was a problem, but I got them.
Wow.
So you said your wife gave you a year. So you had a
Yeah.
year to make this business a reality. Kind of break down how you spent that year. So it sounds like AI was your executive assistant, project manager, business counsel, but talk a little bit about how long it took to build the plan. Like, how'd you come up with the name? Like, some of these details, like how long did it take and what was your process?
Yeah. So since we semi-officially started it in November, I didn't want to put any money down on the business until January, simply for taxes. I didn't want to have to file taxes on a business that didn't really do anything. So I did as much preloaded work before without spending a penny. So we had some general name ideas, we had some general layouts, and I had all of my contacts put in order. I would reach out to people. Conversations are free. I don't have to track those or report them. So I had the full playbook ready to go. As soon as January 1st hit, I think it was actually on January 2nd, we incorporated, and we knew what the name was going to be before then. We originally wanted to do, I think it was Scrubbin Pup, but we couldn't get like a trademark on that. And so my wife was like, oh, we need to change that. And so she found Scrubbin Pup, and I didn't like it as much, but I was like, I don't really care. So that was the name. My wife is very, very creative. She actually is the one who designed the website, did a lot of the designing in-house. She is the creative side for me. I'm much more industrial, like, does it work and people can get in and out easily and cleanly? Like, that's me. She is the one that beautifies everything, in business and in home. So we just had the full map the playbook ready to go. And as soon as January, it turned January, like it was game on. I started making orders. I needed to find people because I don't know anything about grooming a dog. Like growing up, we always had 1 or 2 dachshunds. Those are just little tiny dogs that we would wash in the sink, like, I don't know, once a quarter, not nearly enough. And then we had a big dog. And I genuinely don't ever remember washing that big dog ever. And so I don't have any idea on how to actually wash or groom a dog professionally. So I needed to find contacts and people who would then hold my hand. And so I found a bunch of different companies. I found one company that was a commercial supplier, business to business supplier, that they would actually just put together a blueprint for me. These are the different types of materials that you want. These are the brushes, combs, chemicals, whatever. This would be a great place to start that anybody could use, not a professional groomer. And so it was really just putting together the list of people for the logo, for a lot of like interior design concept. We started this business not with the idea of having one location. I don't want one dog wash location. I want 250 dog wash locations. And so everything we did, it was from that lens. How can I make this build out repeatable and scalable and just turn it on like clockwork? And so we hired, my wife works in marketing. She has a contact who specializes solely in logo creation. And he happens to have done a lot of work specializing in the pet industry. And so we worked with him. And it was incredible because the logo is so iconic and it carries such emotion and it's beautiful for the brand. We hired an interior designer to help us get more of the color scheme and the layout and the flow inside the space. So these are additional expenses that people don't have to do. When I tried to do interior design and logo creation with AI, I did not love the results.
Yeah.
And so I wanted somebody that could understand the emotion more about what we were trying to convey. So everything that we did was build out our plan for scalability.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. Hayden, but I'm curious because again, back to you had the year, but now you're working again. So fill us in. Like
Oh, yeah.
along this path, you got another job, which you're currently working in, but you launched your business officially. So catch us up to speed on that.
For a while, so I was a stay-at-home parent for 2 children. My son is now 2, and my wife just was not loving the day-to-day job. And I was not loving my day-to-day job of being a parent and a full-time stay-at-home parent and starting the business on the side. Starting the business on the side while not having a 9 to 5 allowed for a lot more flexibility for me because I could meet people in the middle of the day and just cart the kids with me. But I'm not tough enough to be a full-time stay-at-home parent. And I would express to my wife, like, I just would want to go to work. I don't want to do this anymore. And she didn't want to do the job either. And there were things that we were doing to help alleviate the other person that I can't have out there in the public yet. Once we stop recording, I can tell you about. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking for a job again. You really want to be a stay-at-home parent. And I really don't want to be a stay-at-home parent. I also don't want a job, but I want a job more than I want to be a stay-at-home parent. I mean, that sounds terrible, but that was the reality. That's how I felt. And I made the right decision. So I slowly started looking for a job again, I think maybe in March, April timeframe. The original plan was to open up the business in March, but due to the delay of the dog wash machines, we didn't open until I think May 2nd was the day that we opened. And a little note there with the brick and mortar. So brick and mortar is a little bit more, there's more pressure there because you have to pay rent and it's not cheap. And I didn't know anything about this. I found a location that was great. It's only about 10 minutes away from where I currently live. But there's a lot that goes into negotiating for your brick and mortar. There's something called tenant improvements, where typically landlords will give you a large chunk of money to help with the renovation of your business. One of the other levers that you can negotiate is when do you actually start paying rent? on the space. They'll usually give you a small amount of time so you can renovate, open up business, and then start paying. But because of the delay of the dog wash machines, I didn't do a good job negotiating tenant improvement or TI. So I was given a very small amount of money given the scale of my build out and what the business needed. And then the landlord didn't really open it up for discussion. He said, you're going to start paying rent in March, which was a problem because as I'm getting closer to March, I know we're not going to make that March deadline. So I start paying rent on the place in March, but I don't even open until May. I don't collect a single penny until then. So I'm paying thousands and thousands of dollars more out of my own pocket than I was accounting for.
So at this point, like, were you guys using savings? Were you guys like, we're maxing out credit cards? Like, how did you guys cash flow this? Because this can bring a lot of stress. Either
It does
way.
bring a lot of stress. We actually have paid 100% for the business ourselves. I decided not to go down the SBA route at all. There was too many stipulations that they put into it, and we could financially afford paying out of pocket for this business. I thought the number was going to be one thing to start the business. It ended up being double the amount than what we had originally thought. So we could still pay for it at that point, but that's an important thing to note for me when I open up the next location, plan on twice the amount than what I originally calculated out and plan on twice the amount of time it takes to open than what you originally think. And that will give you sufficient amount of buffer.
What did you
So
miss in your calculations? Was rent more expensive than you were expecting? Or these machines more expensive? What did you miss?
Yeah, everything was more expensive. So rent was more expensive. The machines were way more expensive than what I expected. And a story about the machines. So I have the original price of these machines. They're supposedly giving me a deal. And I'm going now. They sent me the invoice, the amount of money that they need. And there's all of a sudden an additional $8,000 line item that wasn't accounted for. And I'm like, what is this $8,000? They're like, oh, that's the shipping cost. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm already paying tens and tens of thousands of dollars. You haven't talked to me about this shipping at all. And they're like,
No.
oh, sorry. Guess we should have done that. And I was literally about to submit the order in 1 to 2 days when they sent me that invoice. And so at this point, I start looking for different machines here in the United States, thinking, okay, let's cut out that overseas shipping price. The other machines were even more expensive than what I found. And so I just had to eat it. There was nothing I could do to lower that. We did some small negotiation because I was pretty ticked about that. And then the delay where they threw in a bunch of additional things. But yeah, it was everything. The construction I had for the plumbing and the space, I got 3 different quotes right in the beginning before I did the demo. One person said to put the plumbing in for the dog wash machines was going to be $5,000. Another person said it was going to be $9,000. And I had one last person tell me that it was going to be $17,000 for just the plumbing. And so I originally was planning like, I'll just sub everything out myself. I'll just find these people. But the prices varied so much within the trades that I did not know who to believe. Who knows what they're doing? So I ended up finding a general contractor who specializes in commercial construction who could come in with all of his contacts, but it was still, his piece alone was still $20,000 more than I had originally accounted for because of how expensive the trades are. And because I had already paid, put an initial deposit, just a deposit, $17,000 on the machines, and I couldn't get my money back, I was already too deep into it. There was no backing out. I got to a point where you cannot back out. I have to like do it at this point. And that was a big, how do I say this? Like motivator not to stop. That was a big reason why I couldn't stop. There was a lot of times that I was like, oh crap, I made a big mistake. I should not do this, but I couldn't stop. I had no choice but to keep going.
It's a blessing and a curse because you're like, well, I quit or I keep going. And like, there's that fear, but it pushes you. It's good.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Totally.
Sean, hearing this story for the first time, I think one of the big reflections that I'm having is you're a Salesforce administrator and now you're negotiating with folks in the Netherlands buying these super fancy machines, and you're hiring an internal designer, and you've got a marketing person building a logo for you, and you're figuring out how to do an LLC, how to do a trademark for a name, like what this place should even look like, how I'm going to get customers. And I love what you said earlier, that you've done a lot of reflection on the destination is not really what we want at the end. It's who we need to become to get to that destination. I think that's a super powerful takeaway I've gotten so far. Talk a little bit about how you grew in this journey, because I imagine when you started, you maybe didn't know where to begin. Like you need ChatGPT to give you these are the 10 steps that you need to do to open this, but you probably grew a ton on this process, and I'd love any nuggets from that growth.
There's two big takeaways initially that are important. I talked about the hyper accountability before, that it's all on me. And if I don't do it, it's never going to work. No one's there to save me, which is true to an extent. A shift that I've had, and I've come to find out as I've gotten more into the entrepreneurial space and interacted with more entrepreneurs, and to get to where I was when I first started the business until now, you'll notice throughout the story, it was never just me, I did this. There was always somebody else, whether it was AI, it was a logo designer, it was a UX developer that I hired overseas, or an interior designer. There was always one other person there who helped me along the way. And so I had to be willing to go and search for those people and pull them in and accept I don't know anything about anything, frankly. These really successful people, there's a guy, for example, in this men's coaching group that I'm in. I don't remember how long ago, probably about a year and a half ago, he sold his business for $40 million, and he owned the business outright, like extremely wealthy person. And in talking with him and hearing his story, there was a million people along the way who gave him a helping hand up. He did not do that by himself. He didn't have the knowledge to start this business and to grow it to be $40 million. It was all about the people that you surround yourself with and can connect with, that will get you to where you want to go, and you can bring them along for the ride. And so for me, it was a big dose of humility, just accepting that I don't know and that I need help. And I'm going to have to pay for that help, because that's what those other people deserve. To go in and just say, like, help me for free. I'm not going to give you anything. I'll let you come wash your dog once, whatever. It's not good enough. These people are giving you their time and attention, and they have, had decades of experience that I can now pay for to have an immediate infusion into my own business and what I'm doing. So that was like the number one takeaway, that nobody gets to where they want to go alone. You have to have the help of others. The other one is a little bit, and this is that piece that I was telling you about before, that I think is potentially relevant, or at least it is to me. Most of my life, basically my entire life, I really struggled with a lot of self-hatred and self-loathing for one reason or another. And it just continued throughout my life. And I was always looking for ways to soothe that or to calm that feeling. I thought, okay, when I get married, somebody will love me for who I am and it will go away. And it didn't. It still was there. I just had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror and being proud of myself, loving myself. And it continued on and on and on and on. And one of the reasons why I joined the men coaching group is because I wanted to learn how to love myself. And it's interesting that they never explicitly said, here's how you love yourself, do X, Y, and Z, and you're just going to be great. But I learned about something that I continually did. And this is also going back to the dreaming, where it can be dangerous. I was not in integrity with myself, meaning I would say that I was going to do all these things. And as it pertains to business, I would have all these big business ideas. And I would say, I'm going to do this. I would tell my honey, okay, I'm going to do this, but I would never do it. And I learned to not trust myself and I would not do what I said I was going to do.
Hmm.
Starting Scrubbin Pup has changed my mentality towards myself 180 degrees. And I don't know if it's because I'm so dang busy right now that I don't have time to hate myself, or if it's I said I was going to do something big that I really wanted to do, and I did it.
Heck
At this
yeah.
point, at this point in my journey, if the business were to fail, I would not care. I could close down the business tomorrow and feel so proud of myself and so fine because I actually did it. And so I gained confidence that I could take a risk, a massive risk, because it was a lot of money and I could make something of it. I could actually do what I say I was going to do. And that is probably one of the greatest takeaways and the aha moments as I've reflected on how I feel about myself and the past 35 years, 34 years of this self loathing that I had, and how important it is to keep promises to yourself. More than anybody else, keep a promise to yourself. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Or be careful about what you say you're going to do, unless you actually want to do it, because it can have a major impact on you.
I'm getting
Speechless.
emotional listening to you
I
saying this, Sean.
know.
Like it's just cool, Brooke. I don't know kind of your thoughts and how you're kind of reflecting on this, but it's powerful, Sean. Like it's powerful to we spend I don't know how many episodes of the pod you've listened to, but we've talked a lot about brand and self brand and like finding what that is, but then using that in work, using that to get fulfillment in how you spend your day, whether that's starting a business or who you are in relationships, right? Like our whole mission is imposter to empowered in work, life, and relationships. And I love how your story touches all three. It's the good stuff. It's how life becomes real. And I love that takeaway of I did it and I created something and I dreamed and I've been dreaming for a long time, but it's time to take action. And I imagine when you look at that logo and you go on your website, there's some pride there that you did that. You made something actually happen. Whatever happens in the future, right? Again, it's not the destination in mind. It's you became someone different to make that website happen, to make that logo happen. It's really cool to hear.
It the the path or the leap from here's an idea to doing it, it is astronomically big. I have
Yep.
people surrounding me my whole life, everywhere I go, they all have ideas. Everybody has an idea, but majority of the people will not do anything about it because this gap between the two is almost incomprehensible. And so to actually make the journey, it, it for me, it changed me. It changed how I feel about everything. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful transformation experience. And I, my schedule is difficult. I get up really early in the morning so that I can go to the gym and then I have to go clean Scrubbin Pup. I don't hire it out. I haven't hired it out yet. You know that, Brooke. I'm still cleaning it really early in the morning. But I find more fulfillment about cleaning up blood, gross dog hair every morning than I do in my 9 to 5. And it's because it's mine, because that logo is mine. I own it. This business is mine. And so the fulfillment that I feel from doing not so sexy of a job is also shocking. But it's because, like you said, Hayden, like I did it. It is mine. I created it. And I love that. That was a big surprise for me, honestly.
I just love your story, Sean. Genuinely. I think deeply, innately in each of us, like in our souls, we have this feeling of, we have a deep desire to want to feel like we have worth and value. We deeply want to reach our potential. We want to become, when we've all experienced things throughout our life, that we have the narrative in our head of like, this is how I am and can I do it? And this journey, like the gap that you're saying from the idea to the execution of it. What I felt from your story, and what I hope the one person that's listening to this that needs it and is wondering, like, can I do it? I want to believe that I'm that person that could act, that could do. I want to become, I'm so afraid to try it. And what if it doesn't work? Listening to your story and seeing it, knowing you from 10 years ago and to what you're doing now, it's inspiring me to have more courage to step into those things. So thank you so much. Thank you for having the courage to live a life of integrity and show up, not just because, you have this really cool dog washing place and whatever else. But one of the things I wrote down about you, Sean, was this man has wisdom. He has wisdom. He has depth. He has courage. Like the person that is forged in this, and because of the things that you have shared, has changed me, has literally changed my life because you chose to live in integrity. So I'm inspired. I mean, this is incredible. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean, as we look to wrap it up here, I have another question, and I imagine there's a story here, but we've done a lot of popping the hood and talking about X's and O's of starting a business and all of the details. And honestly, like even starting this podcast, Sean, just relating with you, I had no idea just the vast array of decisions that you have to make. It's just like a giant project that never ends. That's what all of this is. It's like when Brooke and I have done this, it's like, I don't really care what software we use, right? But we pick a software and it doesn't work. And it's like, all right, we got to find another one. I guess I'm learning about which software we're going to use for the podcast. I imagine you had a million of those, but I would love to hear when you first opened and you actually had a customer use Scrubbin Pup. How did you feel? How did that feel? Walk us through that.
Well, my first customer is, I was terrified because I didn't know how it's going to work. I actually hadn't had a single dog come in. I had not even tested out the place yet. And the reason being is because we weren't officially open. So Brittany and I, my wife, we had sent out close to 5,000 direct mailers, very expensive. And this one beautiful older man, bless his heart, he was probably in his late 50s, early 60s. He literally works in underground mines. Like he goes a mile underground doing who knows what. So it's this like rough older man who comes up before we're officially opened. I think it's like April 30th or whatever. And he pays and he's trying to get in. The technology is not really working, or he can't find the email with the code to get in. So he calls me and I'm on the phone with him, and it's 10 p.m. because we're open 24/7. That's what our flyers say. And he has 2 doodles with him. I don't know what kind of, like golden doodle or something. And so I help him get the code. He goes in and he starts washing his dog. And I have cameras all throughout, in and outside of the facility, and they have audio, so I can hear them. So I'm like sitting there in bed, 10 p.m. with my wife, just like creepily watching and listening to this man. And it's so cute. This guy, really gruff old man, right? Miner. He's like talking to his dogs and baby talk, like, "Oh, you're such a good girl. You're such a good girl." And it's so beautiful because that's what dogs do to anybody, even the toughest of all. They really soften us up. One of the beautiful things about dogs. But then 10 minutes into his wash, I hear him start to cuss, and he's tapping his foot on the floor, and water is starting to pool around his feet. So he calls me on the phone, and my sump pump, which is used to pump the water out of the tubs, has failed. And so the entire place is flooding, and water is
No.
pouring out from our second machine. This is 2 days before we're supposed to open. At this point, it's like 11 p.m. at night, and I'm like, say some expletives myself. Honey, I got to go. I got to go. And so I get my clothes back on and I drive down to Scrubbin Pup, and we probably have like 3 inches of water all throughout Scrubbin Pup. And the guy was really cool. And I just shut off the machines. I have no idea what the problem is. And I just start mopping up buckets, gallons of water from the whole place. I I call the general contractor really late at night. I'm like, what did you do? It is not working. So he taught me how to turn it off. We weren't officially open, so nobody was supposed to come. Um, but he was really cool. He was a great guy to chat with him. He's actually come again, and he has brought his son with him. But it was a blessing in disguise. It was an electrical issue. It had nothing to do with the pump because we were able to resolve it before the space opened. 1 week into business, there was another flood. This time from the ceiling. I had switched from heater to AC. Ice had built up in the pipes, and water just started like pouring down and destroyed the ceiling tiles. So it was definitely a Wild West situation initially. So my first customer, so exciting and super terrifying, and like, oh crap, is this gonna actually work? Because it's genuinely self-service. I don't have anybody there ever. People can check out online. They don't ever have to interact with me or another person, and they can get into the facility 24/7, 365. So I was worried, like, do I have to hire somebody to just sit there most of the time? So it was pretty stressful initially. We had our opening day, it was a Saturday, and it was just a free day. People could come as much as they want. And so I had probably upwards of like 30 people come throughout there. We probably washed, I don't know, 40 to 50 dogs in that one day. And I was there the whole time. And yeah, it was really an amazing experience when we officially opened. But before then, like definitely some scary things for sure. And I will say, so there's another miracle hidden within this, that the timing was sort of serendipitous to me losing my job and us starting Scrubbin Pup. So we started on a Saturday, and I had been actually looking for jobs most of the time, upwards of a year from the time I lost my job. But I had one job offer like 3 weeks after I lost my job, but I thought, I'm just going to look for something better. That was fast, and I never got another job offer. I got a job offer 4 days after Scrubbin Pup was open. And that's the job that I'm at now. And so we opened on May 2nd. I started at my current company at the very beginning of June. And my wife was able to quit her job mid-June. And so it was this beautiful,
Wow.
like everything came together at the right time.
So this is the last question, I think, Hayden. There's been so much good in here, but I think people are going to be wondering, people who have their own current job and they're like, okay, I don't know anybody who's started their own business and has maintained a 9 to 5. And that might give hope to a lot of people because it feels safer, right? What are the things that you've learned? How do you maintain boundaries around that? How disciplined do you have to be? Like, if somebody else is like, okay, I want to do that, give me the quick rundown of what the reality of that looks like. And can I do it? Kind of a thing.
So what would I say to somebody if they want to start a business, but keep their 9 to 5?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, very first is do it. I would never tell somebody not to start a business. Even if they end up hating it, they're going to learn something about themselves, and it'll be a beautiful experience. And there'll be a lot of gifts in that experience for them. So first off, do it. To say, we use the phrase loosely, it's a grind. I wouldn't go to the extent to saying that that's insulting, but in a way it sort of is, because it does not capture the full experience of what you go through. I think you both understand it. And Hayden, I know you have a child, but you have a corporate big 9 to 5 type of job. It's more than 9 to 5, and you have this on the side. And Brooke, you have a lot of things that, blessings to you, would be so incredibly hard in what you do. So I think you both will understand, to say that it is a grind is not fully encapsulating of what you will experience if you start a business while you have a 9 to 5. Whether you have a family or not, just those two things alone are unbelievably difficult. My life and what I consider to be leisure is so different than what it was 5 years ago. I mean, frankly, that's kind of what I dream about now. It's like, oh man, remember back when I was like first married and I just worked a basic job and I didn't do anything else? Like, wow, that was amazing. Most nights I'm sleeping 5.5 hours is probably the most that I'm getting with 2 children. I get up at 4, I go to the gym, I clean Scrubbin Pup. I'm at home at 7, so I can do all of the cooking for my family. So I'm at home at 7 a.m. so that I can cook for them. I have to help get them ready. I have to get myself ready. And then I'm off to work by 9 a.m. And then when I come home, I cook dinner for everybody. I help clean everyone up, put everyone away in the bath, put them to bed. And then they're in bed by 7:30, 7:30, but the work continues. There's more work that I have to do. I haven't had a chance to chat with my wife yet about anything personal or connect with her. But the business calls. And that's like a big problem that I have currently, and something that I'm struggling with. And I talked to you about this, Brooke, is most of my time I spend in the business and not on the business. I don't have the time to really grow the business too much. And that's the big battle, is any additional time that I have, if it's on my lunch break, I'm not relaxing during my lunch break. I'm working on something else during my lunch break. Or I'm going to take a little call here, a little call there, just to try to move the needle. And I have to utilize people more now. Like I'm now coming from a more technical background, but I don't have the time to do my technical stuff. So I have to hire it out. We're in the process of switching our hosting website, switching all of the integration, all of the technology. I don't have time to do it. It's something that I could figure out, but I have to hire it out. And so I'm relying more heavily on other people to move the needle now because I'm spending so much time in the business. So yeah, really what I would just say to people is do it. Be prepared. Grind does not fully capture what you are going to experience, but you are going to learn more about yourself than at any other time. And you are going to experience so much fulfillment with your own business, or not. Maybe they'll just want to go back to the 9 to 5.
You're in the beginning. I mean, you started officially January 2025, right? This is like the
Yeah.
official. So this is a snapshot of like the beginning of building a founder and a business. And so there's seasons in all of these things. And I think that if you knew all the stuff that you had to go through before you started, you probably wouldn't do it. But
I would. No, I would.
you would. So
I would do it again.
this is incredible because you have received that. You've seen the fruits of it. I know some people that are like, if I knew all the stuff I had to go through, I probably wouldn't have started because I would have been so afraid at all of the things that I did. Right. But I just think, don't let fear stop you of, oh man, like I can't wake up at 4, or, oh man, like I can't, whatever it is. If you feel it in your heart, if that's your dream, if there's a dream in your heart and the reason why you're not acting is because of that fear, just do it. Just do it. It'll change your life.
When you are in a 9 to 5, you at times are crawling over glass and you are bleeding for that business. But when it is your own business, I'm crawling over more glass, but I'm bleeding for me. It's my own business. I get to keep it. I'm not giving it away to somebody else. It's mine.
I think, Sean, that's a great transition to maybe the last question. We keep saying it, and
I
then we
know.
just keep asking you more things, man. I think our listeners would love to know, Sean, how's it going? Like, is it going well? Has it been a good first year? And I'd also love to know what's next for Scrubbin Pup.
Yeah. It's been great, I think. I've never started a business before, so I don't really know what to expect per se. We've had a few months where we've broken even. We're consistently around 85, 90% of break even every month. There are things that I need to do to tweak on the business to make the subscription side more sticky, which is part of the tech rework that I'm doing right now. Is we're revamping the payment and subscription piece and the different product offerings. But I would say that it's actually been really, really great. I think we have 46 5-star reviews on Google right now. I haven't had people complain. I've loved being able to go in there and talk with the customers when I can catch them. It has provided an opportunity for me to give back. I gave full memberships to the K9 unit and the Lehi Police Department. So I love being able to see them in there. So it gives me something to give back to the community. So I would say like the business is doing good. there's this steady increase of customers. I think with this new tech rework, we're going to see even more growth. I've had an outside group come in who wants to help me raise money and then franchise the business. And so they wanted to see profitability up a little bit more, which is what we're working on, and a part of the onus for reworking our payment and pricing model. Once we can get that, we'll start looking for outside funding, and then the aggressive expansion will begin.
How can people follow you? Follow Scrubbin Pup. For those that want to know more, where do you want to send them?
If people want to have a conversation and reach out and talk to me personally, they can reach out on LinkedIn. We have an Instagram. I'm pretty sure we have a Facebook and maybe even a TikTok. So I think those are the 3 places that we have social. So they can learn more about Scrubbin Pup there.
The cool thing about this episode 1 is that the 3 of us got to come back together, and honestly, whatever we were going to talk about and whatever the content, it's just good to see you again, man. And this episode is the making of a founder. And I love how you highlighted that it's the messy middle. It's work, life, and relationships, and it's navigating what's best for your family, for you, for loving yourself, and appreciating that your journey was not about being Dave Ulrich rich. It was about going through a process and creating something and making a dream a reality. And look at where you are, man. And next time we have you on the pod, like, who knows what Scrubbin Pup is going to be. So it is honestly going to be a privilege to just watch what you do next.
Awesome.
You're gonna be richer than Dave Ulrich, man.
That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't going to say it.
I'll say it, and remember that, because next time on the pod, you'll say, "Yep, did it." Friends, fam, we hope you loved this episode. If you loved this episode, please go rate, subscribe, send it to a friend. This is how you can help us grow. This message is so needed. We love you guys. And for now, that's the pod.